the Main Street Randyland YouTube channel, and you get to hear some more stories about my life in the amusement business and the stuff that I've collected. You know, people say I was a hoarder because I was on the Hoarders television show, but I was the good hoarder because I collect the good stuff. I don't just have the bags of trash from your groceries that you were too lazy to take out and buckets of pee and urine because your plumbing doesn't work and you don't want to throw that out. I have the good stuff. So I'm the hoarder of amusement park memorabilia and arcade machines. And while I was up here doing an episode about one of my other features that you'll probably see on my channel, I decided to the cameraman, I says, let's show some of the other stuff over here, because people say, this guy's got everything. And as you look around, I do have everything. I mean, laying right here, you see a pick and a shovel. Now, actually, there's two shovels there. Well, interestingly enough, this shovel, I didn't go out and buy a shovel just for this. This shovel we had from the time I was a kid living in Short Hills. And that's the pick that my father had for gardening, and another one of the shovels. These are things that were actually used in Randy's life. So everything, if you save it long enough, has meaning and will become very, very collectible, because most people don't save their picks and shovels. I mean, I did. Don't you have yours in your garage? If you don't, you should have saved your pick and shovel. What are you going to do when the next gold rush hits? But you got to save everything. Now, I look around and I just see stuff. I look up here. I see two cash registers. Those are two of the old Sweda Cash registers from Walt Disney World in Florida. Back in the 70s, they opened in 1971, every store you went to had a Sweda Cash register. They were workhorses. They were wonderful. They even used Swedas in grocery stores. I remember they had them at Stop and Shop when I was a kid. Well, when they upgraded to computer cash registers, they were starting to phase out all the old mechanical cash registers, and I bought a bunch of them over Property Control. I bought, I'd say 15 or 20 of them, and I refixed them up, made sure they're working and all that stuff, and they're really great. What's interesting on it is when you push total and paid, the receipt, if I have paper in there, will come out and it's stamped Walt Disney World, because it's imprinted in the die inside the machine that these registers were from Walt Disney World in Florida. And here you have even another one. Another Sweda register sitting here. Now, when they have this part here, this metal plate, typically, that was in a place that they were going to have some kind of guest check. Rather than just giving you a receipt, you'd slide the guest check into that on the plate, and it would print it onto the guest check as that was your receipt. The inner tape was for the recording of the history of what was done on that register. So it printed in two ways. It printed on a recorded tape that the guest never got, so the manager could go back and look at the sales. And it printed either on a receipt that would come out, or with this style, you would slide your card in, and the paper mechanism would still be there so that you could, put paper in it if you wanted the receipt. But the side part here should open like that. And then you put your paper inside, and you'd have to, roll it up. But if you're going to use this, you don't put paper in there, so it automatically comes down on it. And the top piece, that'll slide out. That inner part will slide out, so you can put your tape into it and your new paper, and you can read what's going on. There's little turns. And these two holes here were for your X and your Z lock keys. Now, you'll see the two on the top have locks there, but this one, I have empty holes, because an X key would be for a manager to get the totals on the register. The Z key would get the totals and clear the totals back to zero. So cash control couldn't allow anybody to have a Z key, because if you could clear the totals, you could charge people and then clear the totals and then start over again. And then when the manager came over, there'd be a total that would be far less, and you would have the money in your pocket. So they took a drill and they drilled through the lock of the Z key so that it was unusable and you could not copy that key by using the tumblers. The X key was fine. I still have an X key on my key ring. So that's the way it is. Now the reason there's 2 locks there, I did take out the Z lock on that, but half of the registers I took out both locks, and I used the X key in the Z position on registers that have 2 locks there, so I can access both of them. In this instance, I can still use the functions, but I would use a special tool that I made to shove in the hole to trigger the mechanism that I needed to do because I knew what to trigger, so I'd use it that way. You have a B key up in the top here. That would be if this was on a multiple register use, you would have a key. That's actually a button that comes out. I don't know if I can get it out or not. Let's see. No, I can't get it out. I have to have electric. But that would turn. I could take that out, and that button would come out with a key on it. And that would be a key for that register. These have A keys on it. This is a B key. Sometimes they would have A, B, and C keys. But this would be the different functions of the Sweda register. And when I was in Seaside with my ice cream stand, I used 2 of my Sweda registers at Svensson's Ice Cream right in the front so they could pop in, and you were getting your register totals right on my Walt Disney World cash registers. Who would do such a thing? Who could do such a thing? But only I, in the wonderful world of Randy, of course. But people say, this guy's got everything. The Sweda register is sitting on the bathroom sink from our house in Middletown. So when we were selling the house in Middletown, I updated the bathrooms so that the new people coming in would have a modern bathroom, which these people want when they're buying a house. So I didn't want to throw away the sinks and the counter because this was part of our history. So I kept it, and I brought it down here because now I can tell the story that this was my sink, this was my sister's sink in the bathroom in our house in Middletown. Yes, he has everything. He has everything, including the kitchen sink. Well, he has the bathroom sink, but we also have a kitchen sink hiding over here. This is an old kitchen sink, and this is from Woolworths right here. This is one of those cast kitchen sinks with this part on the side where you would wash the dishes and bring it up on the side, and that would be slanted so the water dripping from the dishes would roll down into the basin of the sink and get down the drain. So these are things that I see as priceless, and people do not understand the value of stuff. They take that, they throw it in the garbage. How could you throw that in the garbage? You save your bathroom sink, you save your kitchen sink, everything and the kitchen sink. Even an old, shopping cart. I mean, why wouldn't you save a shopping cart? Do you see what's on the seat plate where you put your child in there? A&P, the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. When's the last time you've seen an A&P? They're gone. They were there for over 100 years. They put all the independents out of business, the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. Well, now they're gone. They were restructured into Super Freshes. Now they're not even around. So that's a shopping cart from the A&P. Why wouldn't you have one? Didn't you save yours? What is that sitting on? That's sitting on some lounges, lounge chairs, and rocking chairs, and chairs without rockers next to them. These, to the best of my knowledge, are the only surviving chairs and lounges from the casino pool in Seaside Heights, New Jersey. The pool is gone. All the chairs and the lounges are gone. But back in the day, when you went to the casino pool, surrounding the entire giant pool were all of these red and white wooden chairs, some with rockers, some without, all the lounges. You could rent a mat for an extra 50 cents that the lifeguard would throw on the lounge so you could not lay on the wood and lay on the ground. So most people just use the towel. And I saved some from the casino pool in Seaside Heights. Who would have thought to do such a thing? Me. That's who, because I'm the preservationist who sees the value in what's here. Just looking across, it's like looking into history as you see stuff. The 4-seat table, Burger King. Do you remember when they had those 4-seat tables at Burger King? Well, you could sit up on the ceiling here in Randyland and have lunch at one of the original Burger King seats. Of course, there's an old flasher wheel over there. Those round parts you see on the outside border, they hold lights. And instead of an arrow spinning, the lights would go around. The part in the middle would turn just like a wheel. Behind the part in the middle, was the wiper mechanism that actually switched the current from light to light. But you were betting on which light would come out. Traditional wheel hiding over there behind the polar bear. You can see the arrows sticking out, but that was your traditional wheel with the arrows that went around. You see Morgana over here? This is one of my Morganas. I have two. She's up here in the air so that nobody can affect her or bother her. Traffic lights. I added bells on my traffic lights. Pinball heads. You see those rails? What are those rails there with the green plastic attached to it? Well, do you remember the horse race game that I had in the mall that was featured on Hoarders? That's the type of rail that it would run on. It's not the one from Hoarders, because that's in a truck. I have that too. This was a Greyhound race game, not the Greyhound that we know made by Greyhound Electronics, but this was a knockoff Greyhound race game where they ran horizontally, and it was from an amusement trailer that went around the carnival circuit. It eventually made its way up here to Sportland Pier in North Wildwood, and then when they were no longer going to use the ride anymore and they were going to dispose of it, I couldn't use the trailer, but I gutted the game. So those are all the mechanisms over there, so I could restore that Greyhound game. It was a rollerball game. You rolled the balls up the lane, it would go in, the Greyhounds would run across, and the first one who got to the end would win. So you have these parts for the future, for someday the resurrection, the beginnings, the buildings, to bring back the old memories that once was. You get to see it here on the Main Street Randyland YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time, because I know you can't wait for the next fun-filled episode. Bye, guys.